Many think that their anxiety stems from wanting something desperately. However, it's not strictly the desire causing this unease. Instead, it's fixation that drives our anxiety. When fixation takes hold, desire becomes a deadline, a demand, or a measure of self-worth. This fixation leads to tension around that which matters most to us. Care can morph into pressure, while pressure breeds fear. This fear ultimately stifles our opportunities. Desire, in its essence, is fluid rather than inflexible. It guides us like a compass. Children, for instance, desire without concern for fixed outcomes. They navigate towards interests, adapting effortlessly as they play. They don't fret if a game abruptly changes. Anxiety emerges when desire becomes tied to a single result. It constricts our future vision into a narrow pathway. This isn't a personal flaw, it's something learned. Modern society conditions us to think in terms of outcomes from a young age. We are taught to set goals, visualize results, and measure our progress. While these methods can be beneficial, they risk making desire brittle. The nervous system begins to link success with survival. Here, success means safety, and failure turns into a threat. At this juncture, desire ceases to energize us and instead becomes a constraint. Many achieve their goals, but still feel an emptiness inside. Their system never learned to revel in the journey, only the destination. Neuroscience sheds light on this. Our brain's reward system is not wired to deliver satisfaction at the end. It motivates us to seek and pursue, rewarding the act of chasing rather than the possession of what we desire. When we treat our desires as fixed endpoints, we endure prolonged tension. The seeking mechanism becomes active, yet resolution is postponed, leading to ongoing stress. In contrast, when we view desire as an unfolding journey, we receive frequent resolutions, little updates, new insights, and small victories. This is why learning can feel gratifying, even amid difficulties. The system engages actively, without feeling trapped. Anxiety rears its head when the mind believes there's only one valid future. If that prospect seems uncertain, panic ensues. People obsess over making the right choices, be it careers, relationships, or life paths. Their true fear isn't about choosing wrongly, it's about closing off alternatives. Ironically, fixation does just that, limiting the future to one outcome. In such tight confines, everything else feels like a loss, and the nervous system can hardly bear this perceived risk. Thus, it becomes tense, overthinks, and even freezes. This is how desire can turn against itself. In past episodes, we discussed how fear collapses time and how openness restores flexibility. Here, we will explore what unfolds after achieving this openness. When desire returns, free of anxiety, it feels distinct. It becomes quieter, less frantic, and softer. This gentle nudge is often misinterpreted as a lack of motivation. Yet, it's a more measured motivation. The nervous system is relaxed once more, ready to channel energy into pursuits. This stirred energy leads many to express, "I'm drawn to this," rather than feeling compelled. This difference is pivotal. Compulsion arises from fear, while attraction stems from coherence. Coherence permits desire to navigate without constraining us. Rigid systems tend to fail, while flexible ones adapt. Stuart Kaufman's research on complex systems reveals that life evolves by exploring nearby possibilities, not following a rigid plan. No organism knows its ultimate form beforehand. It learns through experimentation. Human experiences mirror this pattern. Yet anxiety clouds our perspective. We attempt to dictate our evolution. Anxiety creeps in the moment desire starts feeling like a tentative contract with the future. Letting go of fixed outcomes doesn't squash ambition, it rejuvenates it. Ambition, free from fixation, transforms into engagement. An engagement that is sustainable, unlike exhausting fixation. This is why many find relief when their plans unravel, beyond the initial shock. Once freed from a narrow path, possibilities come back into view. This doesn't invite chaos, but rather choice. Choice only flourishes when multiple acceptable futures exist. When only one direction is favored, pressure replaces possibilities. desire must be separated from identity. If our sense of self hinges on a specific outcome, fear will dominate our experience. However, when identity softens, desire can flow freely. As we have noted before, identity acts as a prediction regarding how life will unfold. Loosening our predictions allows our identity to relax too. This creates stability as our self-worth isn't at stake. From this space, the essence of effort shifts. Individuals continue to work, commit, and care, but without the internal threat. This distinction separates striving from participation. While striving feels heavy, participation instills vitality. Flow states naturally arise in this context. Flow needs challenge, yet it also requires minimal self-scrutiny. When outcomes occupy our radar, flow dissipates. But when the focus is on the process, flow emerges. That's why artists, athletes, and thinkers thrive when they stop trying too hard. They engage fully, but without the need to control everything. This isn't mystical, it's about focused attention. Our attention can't be both fully present and overly evaluative simultaneously. Evaluation nudges us into the future, while presence anchors us in the now. Desire flows without anxiety when we embody presence. Additionally, constant questioning, "Is this working?" heightens anxiety. This query compresses the unfolding process. The nervous system understands this as, "There's a right outcome, and we're not there yet." Pressure inevitably floods back. The unfolding journey requires a different mindset, one rooted in experimentation. Experiments don't mandate success, they seek information instead. Approaching life as a series of experiments diminishes anxiety, as failure transforms into data. This shift is transformational. The future then becomes a field of possibilities rather than a verdict. Your book, Quantum Reset, touches on this theme effectively, not by guaranteeing outcomes, but by focusing on internal states. When our internal state aligns, the pathway outside reorganizes, not always predictably but meaningfully. Truly intelligent desire doesn't anticipate the future. It listens to feedback and adapts, thereby adjusting its course. As people journey along an unfolding path, many remark, "I didn't land where I expected, but I arrived where I was meant to be." This isn't mere fate. It's adaptability at work. Anxiety resists this adaptability, craving the safety of certainty. Yet certainty is static, while life remains dynamic. This incongruity breeds suffering. The answer lies not in seeking certainty, but in nurturing our capacity. The capacity to respond, adjust, and learn. As this capacity expands, anxiety contracts, no longer evoking a sense of threat. Letting go of fixed outcomes isn't resignation, rather it's an upgrade to our system. At this juncture, desire transforms from pressure into gentle movement. It draws us in without force. Often people articulate this experience as trust. However, trust isn't mere belief. It's confidence rooted in experience. It's the assurance that whatever unfolds, we are equipped to respond. This represents the profoundest form of security, not control, but an ability to be responsive. This brings us to a pause in episode 9. The concluding movement warrants attention. We will explore how desire, openness, and responsiveness interweave within our daily lives. Choices take a different shape when fear isn't controlling the process. Anxiety heightens when desire transforms into a demand. This transformation occurs not because desire is misguided, but rather because the nervous system interprets demands as conditions for safety. When the mind insists, "This must occur," the body internalizes it as, "If it doesn't unfold, something is fundamentally wrong." Often that something remains vague. It relates to existential matters like worth, belonging, security, and meaning. This burden attached to outcomes weighs heavily, risking the entire self. At its heart, desire is exploratory. It seeks what ignites our spirit. It responds to feedback and recalibrates as circumstances shift. But anxiety springs forth when desire freezes into a singular outcome. This leads desire to guard, rather than explore. Guarding stifles openness, which in turn hinders learning, ultimately diminishing possibility. To escape this cycle, one doesn't need to abandon desire. Instead, we must detach desire from our sense of identity. When our outcomes determine our worth, fear becomes unavoidable. When our desire defines our direction, fear recedes. This might explain why many report feeling more relaxed when they confess, "I'm unsure how this will end." This isn't defeatism, but a sense of freedom from pressure. The nervous system picks up on this change instantly. Breaths deepen, our focus expands, and time appears to slow. This shift is more significant than any cognitive reframing. In this state, making choices feels different, not dramatic or forced, but attuned to responsiveness. People often express this as, "I'm just following what feels right." However, this phrase can be misleading. It's not merely about emotion, but rather achieving coherence. Coherence arises when thoughts, feelings, and actions align, reducing internal conflict regarding the future. Such alignment doesn't promise success, but ensures clarity. Clarity alleviates anxiety, as it removes contradictions. When the system isn't split between conflicting desires and fears, energy is liberated. That's why individuals often notice bursts of creativity after relinquishing their obsession with outcomes. The mind is freed from the constant threat management. Creativity flourishes amid uncertainty, as genuine creation requires openness rather than demanding a specific outcome. This illustrates why strict planning can stifle innovation. Rigid plans confine exploration. Kaufman's concept of the adjacent possible aids our understanding. At any moment, only certain next steps lie ahead. Not all futures can be pursued at once. When we fix our desires far in the future, we lose sight of those nearby options. The unfolding path progresses step by step, navigating what's genuinely available. This isn't limited thinking, it's nuanced and precise reasoning. Anxiety often arises from attempting to reach futures that lie beyond our grasp. In such instances, the system senses this dissonance, leading to overwhelm. When we keep our desires rooted in the present, anxiety diminishes. We can take action, even the smallest action, restoring our sense of agency. Agency isn't about control, it's about active participation. This sense of participation feels empowering because it's grounded in reality. This groundwork allows flow to become more frequent, as flow occurs when our actions align with our capabilities. When our goals push beyond our capacity, anxiety emerges. Yet, when our capacities surpass the challenge, boredom sets in. Desire, free from fixation, intuitively balances this dynamic. Many rediscovered joy in simple engagement, working without a fixation on results, creating without measuring success, learning without the need to quantify progress. Joy returns not from improved circumstances, but from diminished pressure. This hidden treasure of fulfillment arises not from achieving targets, but from effortless engagement. Your book, Quantum Reset, frames this concept as state-based transformation rather than outcome-driven change. When our internal state transitions from threat to coherence, behaviors naturally realign. This isn't magic, it's systemic. Systems reorganize when constraints shift. Fear represents a significant constraint. Remove fear, and the system willingly explores. This explains why numerous opportunities arise unexpectedly when we let go, not due to manifestation, but because we become attuned to them. Safety allows our perception to broaden, revealing opportunities that always existed. The unfolding journey feels meaningful because real meaning arises from engagement, not mere prophecy. Seeking to forecast meaning stifles it, as meaning often reveals itself in hindsight, not foresight. People commonly express, "It all clicked later," as they recognize an ongoing pattern. The nervous system doesn't need a clear destination to move effectively. It needs to feel safe enough to journey forward. Safety isn't equivalent to certainty. It's confidence in our ability to adjust. This responsiveness is learned through lived experiences rather than mere reassurances. This is why advice rarely alleviates anxiety. Advice gravely assumes a future, while anxiety fears the unknown. Lived experiences teach us that we can navigate uncertainty. This represents the final lesson of this episode and this series. The future isn't a fortress to secure, but a pathway to engage. Desire requires no constraint but deserves our trust. Not blind trust, but a gentle faith. Allowing desire to flourish without fear makes existence less about reaching outcomes and more about the inherent movement of life. This movement fosters feedback, which in turn nurtures learning. Learning leads to adaptation, and adaptation cultivates resilience, sustaining both complex systems and the human experience alike. As this episode draws to a close, regard that there's nothing to enforce, decide, or predict. Instead, there's merely a need to take note. When you stop demanding certainty from your desires, anxiety releases its hold, illuminating the path as it unfolds, step by step. If these ideas resonate, delve deeper into Quantum Reset, Changing the State That Shapes Your Life by Alfaf al-Bakistani. You'll find the link in the description. If someone you cherish finds themselves ensnared by fear regarding their future, sharing this episode may ease their burden. Remember, the path does not need to be preordained to be traveled. Sometimes it merely awaits the chance to unfold.